Kofi did not die. That truth, however, belonged only to the forest. When the shadows closed around him and the dozens of eyes opened between the blackened trunks, the laughter that had followed him like a sickness stopped all at once. It did not fade. It was cut short, as if a blade had passed through sound itself. The forest inhaled. The ground beneath Kofi's feet shuddered, roots cracking and shifting like knuckles being clenched. Then the earth opened. Not violently, not hungrily. The roots wrapped around him with a firmness that felt deliberate, almost careful, and pulled him down into the dark. Leaves and soil swallowed his scream before it could escape his throat. The last thing Kofi saw was the moonlight breaking apart above him like shattered glass. He expected pain. He expected teeth. He expected the end. Instead, he fell into silence so deep it felt heavier than stone. When Kofi woke, he could not tell how long he had been gone. There was light, but not sunlight, an amber glow that pulsed slowly, like embers that refused to die. The air was cool and damp, thick with the scent of earth and old rain. Massive roots arched overhead like ribs, etched with symbols that shimmered faintly when stared at too long. He tried to move. His body obeyed, though every muscle screamed as if he had run for days without rest. His feet were bare, coated in soft black soil. His ball was gone. Fear surged up his spine, sharp and choking, but it had nowhere to run. The forest held it still, as if even panic was subject to rules here. A presence stood before him. It was taller than any man, broader than any tree Kofi had ever known. Its form looked carved rather than born, shaped from bark, sinew, and something older than flesh. Scars crossed its body, deep grooves etched with symbols that seemed to crawl when his eyes lost focus. Its face was neither cruel nor kind. Its eyes glowed like coals buried beneath ash. This was no spirit that fed on screams. This was something that endured. The demigod spoke without sound, yet the words settled into Kofi's mind like stones dropped into water. You are not claimed. Kofi's knees buckled. He fell forward, palms pressing into the soil, shaking with the effort not to sob. Then why am I here? He whispered. Because the forest is not only a mouth, the voice answered. It is also a gate. Above ground, the village learned how to live with a silence shaped like a child. Paths once worn smooth by running feet, hardened with disuse. Children were pulled back sharply when curiosity carried them too close to the tree line. The elder's warning was no longer a story. It was memory. Kofi's mother moved through her days like a shadow stitched into human form. She spoke little, ate less, and slept only when exhaustion forced her down. At night she listened. Not for laughter, but for anything that proved the forest had not finished taking. Kofi's grandmother never spoke again. But sometimes, when no one was watching, she faced the trees and nodded, as if acknowledging something unseen. Below ground, the forest began to teach. There was no ceremony, no comfort, no easing into what would be demanded of him. The first trial was stillness. Kofi was made to stand on a narrow bridge of living roots, suspended over a darkness so deep it swallowed sound. Below him, shadows gathered and whispered with voices he almost recognized. Children he had played with, elders he trusted, his mother calling his name with a softness that nearly broke him. They promised warmth. They promised safety. They promised rest. Don't listen, Kofi whispered to himself. Do not close your ears, the demigod instructed. Close your hunger. Time bent strangely there. Hours stretched into something heavier. When Kofi finally collapsed, shaking and hoarse, the roots caught him before he fell. The second trial was memory. The forest showed him visions, not illusions but truths. His mother sitting awake through the night, the elder repeating the warning with a voice tired of being right, or children flinching at shadows that once meant nothing. Pain lanced through Kofi's chest. Why show me this? He cried. Because spirits feed on forgetting, the demigod replied, and protectors feed on remembering. Kofi learned the rules the elders never spoke aloud. Spirits could not cross running water because movement reminded them of time. They could not lie if named correctly because names anchored them to what they once were. They could not touch what had been willingly sacrificed because choice was poison to hunger. And above all, spirits feared humans who knew who they were. Fear broke people. Identity broke spirits. The training hardened him. He ran across thorn roots that cut without drawing blood. He held his breath beneath root pools while whispers clawed at his thoughts, urging him to give up pieces of himself. He learned to strike, not with fists, but with focus, driving intention like a wedge between illusion and truth. He failed often. Sometimes the forest punished him. Sometimes it saved him. Always, it watched. When the demigod finally deemed him ready, it did not announce it. Instead, the forest screamed. The twin hollow ones had broken their bindings. They emerged where the roots thinned, appearing as reflections of longing, gentle hands, familiar smiles, faces drawn from stolen memories. They did not rush. They waited. Men had vanished this way before, drawn by comfort, drained of essence until only empty skin remained, eyes staring at nothing. Kofi felt them before he saw them. The demigod stepped back. "This is yours." "You are tired," the twins crooned together. "Come rest. We will take the weight." Kofi's hands trembled. His heart thundered. "No," he said. "You don't take weight. You take lives." The twins laughed softly. Kofi closed his eyes and remembered his mother's voice, hoarse with grief. His grandmother's hands sewing the ball, stitch by careful stitch. "You were once called Naya," he said. The smile faltered. "More, and you were Keely." The forest shuddered. Naming them dragged their grief to the surface, what they had been before hunger twisted them. Spirits hate remembrance. They screamed. Kofi stepped between them and severed the bond that fed them. The thread snapped like bone breaking. One dissolved into ash. The other fled, wounded, howling into the roots. Kofi collapsed, gasping. The forest was silent. "You have taken your first step as a warden," the demigod said. "But every victory binds you tighter." "Will they know I'm alive?" Kofi asked. No. Above ground, the village slept uneasily. Below ground, Kofi stood taller. The forest no longer felt like a mouth. It felt like a responsibility. And it was just beginning.